If you're thinking about the Harley Empire Collection for your bike, you're definitely going to want to watch this video. Well, let me start by showing you what I put on my bike, and then I'll go over the details, because this was surprisingly more difficult than it needed to be. I have the Harley heated grips Empire Collection. That was the first piece I put on. Then I did the rider footboards, and then to match that, the shifter peg over on the other side, the brake pedal, the passenger pegs, and finally the highway pegs. So, why was this so difficult? Something that should have been really easy. Well, like I mentioned, I started with the grips. This is a 2014. The touring bikes come with the Streamliner collection, which is a pretty basic design. So I was looking at the Streamliner heated grips. Now the 2014 and up touring bikes come pre-wired for heated grips, but not all Harley heated grips are the same. And those Streamliners did not work out of the box with the pre-wiring. So it was necessary to buy another harness, and there was also some splicing involved. So didn't want to do all that. So instead I looked at what grips will work right out of the box with the pre-wired kit, and that's how I landed on the Empire. Everything was going good until it was time to close up these handlebar clamps, and it was just not possible. There was such a gap down here on the bottom that I actually ended up having to get my Dremel out and take down a high spot on the plastic that's inside of this these clamps that was on the grip. And if you're thinking, nah, Dave, you had to have done something wrong. There's no way Harley would let something like that out of the factory. Well, all I can tell you is I've been doing mechanical things for 35 years. I know there's no way this thing was going to fit without me doing that. I did all the research, spent hours online. There's just no way these clamps were going to close up. I have it in the right position, obviously. So once I did that little change, everything went together. Just kind of a head scratcher. Let's move on, right? Not so fast. So next up were the rider footboards. These are beautiful footboards. Now, the distinguishing feature of the Empire Collection is these openings. First thing you'll notice is these are not fixed in place. They do move up and down, which you wouldn't think would be an issue since your feet are on them. But I was concerned about, what about when you're on the highway pegs? Are these going to bounce up and down when riding? I have not had that experience, so I'm not sure why these move like they do, why they designed them that way, but no issues with any bouncing, and there are some rough roads around here. So that was good. Another question I had is, would these openings, would my boot feel like it's sunk into them type of thing? And would it be not a natural feel for the ride? But no issues there. When your feet are on them, it feels perfectly normal. There's no issues when braking. So that was all good. And one thing I ran into is the instructions state to torque these bolts to 80 to 106 inch-pounds. Guess what? These snap long before you'll get to 100. These are aluminum. I think maybe the instructions were for generic or other footboard packages which came with steel bolts, like the Streamliner that were on here. So I did end up snapping one of these. I like to do things according to the factory instructions, especially when it comes to torque, but that was an incorrect instruction. So just be aware of that. And really, these things don't need to be ridiculously tight anyway. So I'm getting a new bolt. Otherwise, very good. No issue with the brake pad. Very simple. However, you'll see that this is like a mirror. That's because if there was a hole, like in the other pieces in the collection, you would then see the back plate, which is just kind of an unfinished steel. Let's take a look over on the other side. The smallest piece in the collection is the shifter peg, and again, no issues at all there. Looks good. Because it's so small, they didn't put a hole, just has rubber, but that looks good. Next, where I started to run into problems is with mounting the passenger foot pegs. Now, if you want to go with passenger footboards, that's very easy. They make those as well. They fit nice, and there you go. But here's why it was an issue with the foot peg. The mounting bolts on each side of the frame are not oriented the same. On the right side of the bike, the top hole is towards the rear and then angled slightly towards the front of the bike. On the left side of the bike, it's the opposite. The top hole is towards the front and then is angled back towards the rear as you go down. In the foot pegs of all the other Harley collections that I've seen, the foot pegs can be rotated. These are the slipstream pegs on my Dyna Lowrider. You can loosen this bolt and then you can spin this however you want it. Because of this hole in the Empire foot peg, you can't have a bolt going through. Therefore, these are fixed. You cannot rotate these foot pegs. That's it. The stock brackets that came on my Street Glide and on many other touring bikes do not compensate for this different alignment of the bolts. So the windup is when you put these foot pegs on, it's perfectly flat on the left side of the bike, but on the right side of the bike, it's rotated. And there's nothing you can do about that with the stock mounts. You actually have to get different mounts. So instead of using the 4.5-inch mounts that came with this, I went with these shorter mounts that are about 2 5/8 inches. And fortunately, these are angled differently to compensate for this bolt pattern on each side. And the windup is you can mount these pegs flat on each side. That is really a head scratcher to me. Harley makes no mention of it. It lists these Empire foot pegs as fitting this bike, but it did not fit in the stock configuration. I stopped by the dealership and talked to them about it, and they honestly didn't have an answer for me. So just doing my own research, I was able to find these mounts, and that's what I went with. So because of this issue with them not being adjustable, that presents a problem for the highway pegs. On all the other kits that Harley makes, you simply use the passenger foot peg and you can rotate it as needed, and voila, you have a highway peg. Not with Empire. They make a specific highway peg that's a different part number. And so you just need to be aware of that if you're going with highway pegs. Now, if you have a fully adjustable mount, like the 360 Harley mount, then it doesn't matter. You can rotate it around and get these right. But if you're going to have something like this, which is the short angled highway peg mounts, you're going to need to specifically get the highway pegs. The last thing, which I am really surprised at, and a number of people have commented on this on the Harley website for these products, is the finish on the bottom of the pegs. There's dents, tool marks, just really rough looking surface. On the highway peg in particular, it's really noticeable because it goes pretty much vertical when you tilt it up. Now on the passenger peg, one of the things with this short mount that I have, it doesn't let you go a full 90 degrees up in the air, so you don't quite see it as much. And you might think that, well, these pegs are going to be down facing the ground most of the time, who cares? Okay, that's fine. But a lot of people have complained about it. And it's surprising to me because I've purchased a lot of Harley parts over the years, and the fit and finish on them is usually top notch. And it was just really surprising to see so many little issues with these and a finish like this that was so poorly done. And keep in mind, this is among the most expensive collection, the Empire Collection, that Harley makes. There are other pieces of the Empire Collection that I did not go with. One is the mirrors, and I think they would really look cool. But having the Street Glide, I'm going to keep my fairing mounted mirrors. One piece in the Empire Collection is the derby cover, but at least on the twin cam, it will not fit the stock primary cover. There's a low profile primary cover that Harley makes, which doesn't stick out quite as far. And that one has a different size derby cover. If you go with that, there is an Empire cover you can use. There's also a timing cover, but that only fits the Milwaukee 8 engines. So pretty much that's the extent of the Empire Collection that I'm putting on my bike. Overall, now that it's done, how do I feel about it? Well, I really do love how it looks. I love how it performs. It fits good. The way that I have the highway pegs installed, I can rest my feet like that, or all the way up there if I want. So I kind of get 3 positions out of that. This footboard is bigger than the stock Streamliner board, so there is a lot of room to rotate your feet up or back if you want to, and slide them around. I think it's very different from the common style that you see on many of the stock bikes. I just really like how it looks. Well, that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video of the Empire Collection. Thanks for watching. Till next time.